Hi, everyone. My name is Neil. I've been working on the automated tests here at Collabora Productivity. I'm going to be talking mostly about our Cypress tests today. Cypress is a web testing framework. It tests the whole system from end to end. It will simulate user interaction, button clicks, typing, that sort of stuff. And everything in the browser is running. The server is running. The messages are actually getting sent back and forth. Everything is asynchronous, and the assertions are retryable. So if you, for example, click a button and then expect some element to appear in the DOM, then it will retry until eventually that element does appear. And if it times out, then that's a test failure. Most of our client-side tests are currently Cypress tests, which is why I've been focusing on this. So the first thing I did is try to speed up the Cypress tests. So Cypress will handle most of the retriability, or sorry, most of the it'll retry until until it works. It will handle most of that for you, but there are some cases where it can't handle everything automatically, and the easiest way to get around that is to just wait more. Wait a second and then do the assertion. But that's pretty bad for a variety of reasons. It slows everything down. It's not very stable because it'll be the timing is going to be different on every machine. So instead of waiting, I've been going in and removing those waits and replacing them with faster and more reliable solutions. For example, you might need to add more specific assertions. Assert that this element appears, and then Cypress will wait until that element appears and then do the button click, something like that. Then is a Cypress method which will do something once. So the easy way is to wait a second and then do the thing once. If you replace that with should, which is a retryable assertion, it will just retry until eventually that assertion succeeds. And Cypress has some actionability detection. So if you're clicking a button, Cypress will wait until the button is on screen and not disabled, things like that. If you are clicking on a div, then it won't do that actionability detection. So you might wait for a second and then click the div, but the better way is to just click on the button directly and let Cypress do the work, so you can remove the wait. So all of those will make things more stable, but I've also been making some changes that are directly focused on stability. I won't go into detail on all of these, but the first one, for example, you might be testing a feature that has a button in the toolbar, and the user would activate the feature by clicking on the button in the toolbar. But the button might be off screen. You have to scroll the toolbar. But so in the test, and the user would scroll through the toolbar to get to the button, but we're not testing the toolbar. We don't need to test the toolbar scroll functionality, so we can bypass that and force click it. That's more stable. You don't have to worry about how many times you have to scroll the toolbar, what's the window size. You just force click the button, work around Cypress's actionability detection, and it's more stable. So the end result of removing those waits is that our Cypress tests are now 50% faster than they used to be, and much more stable. And this is really important because if you're a developer running a test over and over again, as you're trying to fix a bug, you get much faster feedback. It's important for our CI systems. So you can get through a queue of jobs faster when the tests run faster. And if you submit a change and then have to wait for the CI, for the tests to run in CI, then you get a final pass-fail sooner, and you're able to actually commit the job or merge the change much sooner. I've also been improving the logging for our Cypress tests. The logs that are built into Cypress are not very good. But there are some ways that you can make it better. I've been reducing a lot of the noise from all of the background Cypress calls that we don't care about. We just want to see have a more direct relationship between the test code and the logs. So you can see this line ran in the test code, and this is where it appears in the logs. So I removed a lot of that noise. I added some custom logging for our custom Cypress commands. I improved the display of the failures, and you'll see that in a moment. And I added some more logging from helper functions because the default logs are flat. everything is logged at the same level, and there's no indication, there's no backtrace or any indication of where you are. So I had to add those all myself. So here's the example. It's the first underline there is just showing you you're in this helper function. So if a test fails, if an assertion fails in that helper function, you know where you are. Believe it or not, the file that, or the exact test that failed isn't printed right there when it fails. So I had to add that myself. There's a backtrace showing you exactly where the failure was. So this means that when a failure happens and you're investigating it, you know immediately where you are, what failed. It makes the investigation process much faster and much easier. So like I said, you get a clear relation between the test code and the log code. So you can look at them side by side. I also built this tool for manual testing that our QAs are doing, and developers can use it too. When you're a single developer, it's hard to test multiple people in the same document because you only have one mouse, one keyboard. So this is a tool that allows you to simulate multiple users in the same document for finding bugs or investigating bugs or reproducing failures, that kind of thing. So it'll randomize user settings and then allow simulate a bunch of button clicks or other interactions in a document. And it's extensible. I would love to see more sample interactions be added in the future. And I'm also writing some performance tests. These are not done yet. It's a work in progress, but we will be able to measure the time that a certain measure performance in terms of time, in terms of simulated time with CPU cycles, which is going to be more reproducible than clock time. Or we could track the number of messages or the amount of data sent back and forth between the client and the server. This will be coming soon. So there's a lot to do to make our automated tests better, but I'm always trying to make them more complete, faster, and more robust. That's all. Thank you.
Great, thanks.